All right, let's talk about marriage. It's this beautiful idea, right? Two people out of literally billions on the planet find each other. It's an incredible thought. But here's the crazy part, the paradox. For something we hold up so high, it has a failure rate that is just, well, if it were anything else, you'd call it completely reckless.
So you've probably heard the stat, right? That about half of all marriages end in divorce. But that's not even the whole story. What about the couples who stay together but are, well, just miserable? If you add them into the equation, and that's being conservative, you're looking at a failure rate of around 70%. I mean, let that sink in. 70%. That's wild.
Think about it for a second. If your financial advisor came to you with an investment that had a 70% chance of completely tanking, you'd run, right? You wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. And yet, we keep getting married. We're just drawn to it. In fact, most people who get divorced, they do it again within 5 years. So what is going on? Why do we keep taking this huge, statistically insane leap of faith?
Okay, so to figure this out, we need to understand what we're actually looking at when a marriage falls apart. See, most of us, we point to the same old things. But what if we're just confusing the symptoms with the real illness?
You know the usual suspects. If you ask why a marriage ended, you expect to hear about infidelity, right? Or fights about money. And yeah, for sure, those things are often in the mix. They're the big dramatic events. And they almost give us this false sense of security, like, oh, if I just keep an eye on things, we'll be fine.
But here's the thing, and this is so important. Those aren't the reason the marriage failed. They're just the final explosion. They're what happens after the foundation has already rotted away. It's like they're the fever, but they're not the actual infection. The real problem, the real illness, is something much quieter. And honestly, it's way more dangerous.
So, if it's not the big blow-up fights about money or cheating, what is it? What's the real marriage killer? Well, it's something that creeps in. It happens so slowly you barely notice it. And then, all at once, it's over.
The real illness is disconnection. And what is that? It's that awful feeling of being completely and totally alone while you're sitting right next to your person, the one person on earth you're not supposed to feel alone with. It's this quiet, unique kind of pain that just erodes everything. And this disconnection, it's a two-front war, really. First, you disconnect from your partner. You just stop seeing them. It's like they become part of the furniture. You know that thing you see every single day so you just become blind to it? That's what happens. And then there's the second type, which might be even scarier. You disconnect from yourself. You start telling yourself these vital lies. Little things at first, like, oh, I'm happy, it's fine, when you're really not. Or, my needs aren't that important. All just to keep the peace and get through the day.
Okay, so that sounds pretty bleak, I know. But here's the good news. There is an antidote. Think of it like a car. You don't wait for the engine to explode to take it to the mechanic, right? You get oil changes. You do preventative maintenance. Well, a relationship needs the exact same thing. So, what does that look like?
And the antidote, the preventative maintenance, it's not what you think. It's not about grand gestures. It's not about big, expensive vacations or fancy dinners. Those are great, but that's not the real stuff. The real work, the thing that keeps you connected, happens in the tiny, everyday moments. It's all about the small, consistent acts of making your partner feel seen.
There's this incredible story that a divorce lawyer tells that it hits the nail on the head. He had a client, and she knew her marriage was over the day the granola ran out. See, her husband always made sure to buy her favorite granola before she ran out. It was their little thing. And one day, he just stopped, and she realized, oh, it's over. It was never about the granola, of course. It was about what it represented. He had stopped seeing her. That tiny little thing was a symptom of a massive, catastrophic disconnection.
So, okay, how do we actually do this? How do we practice being seen? Well, here's a super simple but incredibly powerful tool. It's called the weekly check-in. It's a sit-down conversation with just 3 questions. Now, this isn't easy. It takes being really vulnerable. And it takes courage to ask, hey, where did I mess up? And to actually listen to the answer. But it's all about building that connection back, brick by brick.
And when you start thinking this way, it kind of reframes the whole idea of what love is. It stops being about finding a safe bet, a sure thing, and it becomes about making a brave choice.
Because here's a pretty stark truth. Every single marriage ends. Every single one. It either ends in divorce or one of you dies. There is a 100% chance it will end. And look, that sounds super pessimistic, I get it, but it's not. Acknowledging that reality is actually what makes the commitment so profound and so meaningful.
It's the risk we take for any deep connection, really. I mean, to truly love anything, a person, a pet, anything, is to open yourself up to the fact that you will inevitably lose it. That's the deal. You are signing up for eventual heartbreak.
And that is what makes love so incredibly brave. Right? Because you're not dumb. You see the 70% statistic, you understand that it has to end someday, you're scared, and you do it anyway. That's the definition of bravery. You choose to take someone's heart in your hands, knowing full well how fragile it is.
So, when you boil it all down, the goal isn't to find a relationship with a lifetime guarantee. That doesn't exist. The real goal is to find a connection, to build a connection that is so profound, so real, that it's worth the risk. It's worth the inevitable pain. And so the only question you have to ask yourself is yours?